And then we connected the software. Oh, we're actually live this time. It actually worked right. Bum, bum,
Yay.
bum. Theme song. Okay, is the cat going to be part of the show? Is that sort of how it's gonna
Apparently,
work? Okay,
he's
well,
grabbing a pen. I guess he's going to take notes.
there you go. Probably about as good as we take notes most of the time. So, well, while we were talking today about good news, obviously we probably should be more prepared than we are. Today is a perfect example of how not to be prepared. But I said, let's take a look at all the good news today, since Richard had the train thing, which was very localized, very specific to the area, even though it had statewide and possibly nationwide, attention of things that need to be fixed. I figured let's just look at all the good news that's out there and maybe pick apart a few things, and then
That won't take.
we'll get so distressed that tomorrow we'll come up with something very specific to deal with, because we can't tolerate that much stuff at once. So let's go ahead and look at the CNN front page.
Before we do that, let's do introductions.
Oh, yeah, I
Because
suppose
if
so.
anybody's watching this, it's probably someone who's never watched us before.
Yes, that's true. Because nobody's watched us yet, so they'd have to have not watched us before. So let's just be honest about that. I mean, the thing is, Alex Jones has people who actually watch him, and I don't see why we couldn't have people watch us, because not only are we more logical, more practical, more well-read, and cuter than Alex Jones on so many levels. We're,
Maybe we need to sell mail enhancement. Ugh.
I don't think we're funnier. I really don't think we're funnier, though, because you can't really compete with his level of funny, to be perfectly honest. It's just one of those things.
Not for long if you want to save your voice.
I'll tell you,
Okay.
man, you gotta be a man. Turning your frogs gay. Obama's turning your frogs gay. I can't do that. I used to be able to do voices. Remember back in college when I could do voices? Now I can't do any voices. I can barely do my voice nowadays. Barely do my voice nowadays. So, okay, go ahead. Start the introductions there.
Good evening, and welcome to the Good News with the Cult of Brighter Days. I am your co-host, Step Pope Richard the 50th of Northeast Wyoming.
And I am Michael Henderson Anderson Dorlin, prefect of the overwhelming sense of... Wow, I just got overwhelmed by that. And the acceptance.
Overwhelmed by the overwhelming
I was.
verisimilitude.
Verisimilitude. It almost seemed real to me. It almost seemed real right at that moment for the first time in years. It was overwhelming. Anyway, today we're talking about the good news, and I'd like to point out that it only took 3 minutes and 30 seconds to get to the point where we actually started talking about anything that we're supposed to be talking about.
Okay, that's a record.
I almost feel like it's an episode of the 70s show where, you watch like 5 minutes before the credits roll. That's a dated reference even now. The 70s show, the one that came out before that 90s show. So anyway,
All of my references are dated.
that's okay. I'm dated, so it works out okay. I think something like that. So we're going to, because what we do is we try to come up with, and we look at news and we pick a normal news article and we try to find the positive in it. We try to find the positive spin, the silver lining, or the golden cup, or whatever you want to call it out of there. Because sometimes maybe it's a golden bucket, because that's, you throw up in it, and at least there's a bucket that's gold that's there. So let's look at CNN front page. We can't get in trouble for saying CNN, can we? No, we can't. We're doing a review. So while Zelensky warns if Russia takes Bakhmut, they could go further. Okay, that's given. We know what's going on there with Russia. We know what's going on with the thing. And if anybody hears the singing in the background, that's the soundtrack called "My Kid Doesn't Know How to Be Quiet When I'm Recording." So just be aware that soundtrack will be available in our merch shop for $19.99 on vinyl. If you really want it, I'm sure I can find a way to make it. So looking at the top here, so it is happening now. So it says happening now. Ukraine President Zelensky talks about the battle for was it, how do you pronounce that, Richard? Bakhmut?
Probably Bakhmut.
Bakhmut. President Biden's recent visit and more. Okay. Watch it live on CNN or something. It doesn't even know if it's live. Anyway, note ahead of there the importance of the trending, though. So trending currently is California weather. What is the California weather, Richard? Why is it trending?
I don't know, because it's California and there's a zillion people there.
No, they're blizzard in. They're snowed in. People who have never been snowed in are snowed in. It's global warming, idiot. What was that thing when
I get snowed in from time to time? Nobody does any news stories on me.
You're in Wyoming. That's your own fault. That's just how it works. Okay. One thing I've noticed that a huge storm, the newsworthiness of a snowstorm is directly proportional to the number of people that it's going to affect and inversely proportional to its distance from either New York or LA. So 5 snowflakes in Los Angeles is going to get way more coverage than 5 feet in Wyoming. Okay, now, you know what? Now we're going to have to click on it. You know, I didn't want to have to do this, but now we have to click on it. Congratulations. Okay. Let's click on California weather. Some California residents are urged to prepare 2 weeks of essentials ahead of expected flooding.
Okay, that's serious.
Yeah, you think so? Do you got 2 weeks of stuff at your house?
Not milk, but yeah, I've got 2 weeks of pasta and canned food.
And your cat. If you have to get desperate, I suppose.
I've got enough food to feed the cats for about a week.
Oh, no, I meant you could use the cat as food.
I know, I was going to leave that alone.
I'm sure the cat would like you to leave it alone, too. But she doesn't know who's talking. It's okay. So, honestly, there was that snow that hit, like, a week or so ago, because my wife's aunt was coming out, and they couldn't come out for 2 days because they were snowed and everything. Yeah. So they were behind.
Up in the elevation, serious snowfall. Serious snowfall.
See, and then there's another storm coming in with torrential rain. So let's see. Does it have a... So, about 17 million people across the central and northern California. So at least it won't hit San Diego, where we're planning on going this summer. So that's a plus, right? It's a good thing. My area... Oh, look. It's an ad. They're not paying me. I'm not going to show it. I want to go back to the home. See what you got? Okay, now we're back to the thing. Now, we're not even going to talk about... Okay, so California weather. What's the good news in that, Richard? These massive floods.
Maybe some folks will learn that climate change is actually a real thing.
Okay. I was thinking maybe a plus would be that Hollywood move most of their movie productions to Kentucky and help the economy out there, maybe turn the state a little bit more blue than it already is.
Oh, that's a little speculative, but yeah, that's good.
I mean, Kentucky has amazing discounts for businesses. It's a tax haven for things like that. They would be silly not to go there. There's no union laws. MGM could make a killing out there. Most of these studios could really, do pretty good. And, by them going there, they may be able to change the state to more of a blue state, in which case then we'd have a little bit more sensibility and rationality in the country.
That would be good, yes. I will say that the state of Texas used to have pretty good subsidies for TV and movie productions, but they got all annoyed that people were making fun of Texas, and so they cut back on that.
Well, you know, Ron had a great chance of like leveraging Disney to be his friend and do stuff in Florida, but he didn't. So
Yeah.
Elon Musk, we're gonna skip Tri Nichols. Do you know what the Tri Nichols thing is?
Uh, Tyree Nichols. I
Tyree
remember
Nichols.
seeing the story, but I don't remember what it was about.
Must not be worth looking at then. Elon Musk apology though. That one sounds pretty good. Let's see what's going on with Elon Musk. Elon
Yeah.
Musk publicly mocks Twitter worker with disability who's unsure whether he's been laid off. Wow. And I thought this guy couldn't even be worse than before. And I think this guy actually has reached the level of Donald Trump, if not even worse. Elon Musk has apologized after publicly scoffing at a Twitter's employee's uncertainty about whether he had been laid off in a recent round of cuts and speaking dismissively of the employee's disability in a series of tweets. I would like to apologize to Holly for my misunderstanding of the situation. It was based on things I was told that were untrue. What, like he was a human being? He deserved even a modicum of respect that you were told that he wasn't? Or in some cases true, but not meaningful. Like he was a human? Like he deserved a modicum of respect? Musk tweeted Tuesday he is considering remaining at Twitter. Why? Why would he stay at Twitter unless you offered him a hell of a lot of money? Otherwise, you know. So earlier, this Iceland-based Twitter senior director tweeted at Musk that access to his computer had been cut off 9 days earlier, when Twitter reportedly laid off some 200 employees. But Thorfinson said in his tweet, "Your head of HR is not able to confirm if I am an employee or not." Musk responded to the tweet asking, "What work have you been doing?" And then when how do you pronounce that? Thorleifsson? Sorleifson. Does that sound right?
Very
I am
possibly.
horrible at pronouncing names. I'm probably going to get tons. If somebody actually watched this, I'd probably get tons of emails saying you just massacred his name. I think it's Thorleifsson.
Thorleifson, yeah.
All right.
I'm
Okay.
not sure I'm not sure where the stress goes, but
From here on out, you read names like that, and I'll just quiet when they come up. So, he provided a list of his tasks, and in response, Musk appeared to cast doubt on several points. Pics or it didn't happen, he tweeted in a separate tweet. The billionaire said Thorleifsson did no actual work, claimed as an excuse that he had a disability that prevented him from typing. Thorleifsson clarified in the tweet that he has muscular dystrophy, a degenerative disease, and he says it put him in a wheelchair more than 20 years ago. Thorleifsson, who founded a digital branding company acquired by Twitter in 2021, has been recognized by the United Nations and the President of Iceland for spearheading a charitable effort to build 1,000 wheelchair ramps. Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, yeah. This guy he's fired employees so he's feuded on the platform with former Twitter executives, fired employees who criticized him, and in one case publicly called out a former employee's tweets about him, saying that they were the result of a tragic case of adult onset Tourette's. Yeah, I think, I wouldn't want to work in that place and everything.
yeah, I'm glad I don't.
Oh, look at that. The platform appears to be struggling to stay online. On Monday, Twitter experienced one of its biggest outages since Musk's takeover, with many users entirely unable to access the site and others facing issues clicking links or viewing photos for about an hour. Did you get hit with that, Mr. Richard?
Oh, well, briefly, there were the only thing I really saw was people complaining about their not being able to see any pictures or videos or follow links or stuff. It didn't last very long from when I was looking at it,
Well,
but I can't swear that I got to it at the beginning. Um, by the time I was aware of it, it was clearing up pretty quickly after that. So,
that's a good thing. So the good news in that it was only a little bit and it didn't impact you that much.
It's good news for me.
No, you got to look for the good news anywhere. So Vanderpump Rules scandal. Any idea what that is?
No, it's reality TV.
Is it? Raquel Leviss
Vanderpump Rules is the show.
apologized. Read that headline because I have no idea what those.
Vanderpump?
No, the name is
Raquel
just.
Leviss,
Yeah.
Raquel Leviss and Tom Sandoval apologized to Ariana Madix for Vanderpump Rules cheating scandal.
Thank you. Okay, that works out good. Okay, so they apologize to this person in the middle here and everything, right? Oh no.
I'm not sure.
Apologize to the two on the left apologize to the person on the right and everything. So entanglement with two of her Vanderpump Rule castmates. They shared the sort of apologize for months-long affair with her now former boyfriend. Oh, I thought it was like some sort of rules cheating, and it was like,
The name of the show is Vanderpump Rules.
oh, okay. So, well, the good news to that is it didn't affect us, I guess.
It's reality TV, and most of the effects are within the cast of the show. And
Okay,
beyond the cast of the show, it really doesn't matter very much.
okay, I'm all for that. I seem to work out okay here. Um, Now I want to like continue on down this page, but for some reason the way the browser thing works, it's not necessarily going to let us do that. So maybe that's all the good news that we can handle for the day. And the thing actually knows it and everything. And so yeah. Well, we'll look at the Russia's war in Ukraine to begin with here. So, Russia's war in Ukraine. Fighter jets could decide Ukrainian victory. That's good to know. Very grateful for U.S. President Joe Biden's visit last month. Watch live TV. Well, like I said, I think it's the fact that the software we're using just doesn't want us to cover any more than that. So Kiev denied any involvement in the sabotage of the Nord Stream gas pipeline after a media report cited new intelligence that a pro-Ukrainian group may have been behind the attack last year. Ukrainian military acknowledged that Russian forces continued to advance, but troops have held out Russian forces in several areas, and he defended his decision to keep Ukrainian forces in Bakhmut, warning that withdrawing would risk Russian capture of the. Do you think it really matters at this point how many of the cities Russia captures in the Ukraine?
At this point, they're lucky to hold on to the territory that they have, from what I can tell.
Which ones, the Russians or the Ukrainians?
The Russians.
Yeah, I mean,
They came out swinging, thought they'd have the whole thing done within a week tops, and here we are a year later.
exactly.
And they're stuck. They haven't lost a lot of land lately that I recall. But they're not making gains either.
Here we go. There was some here. We got to go down. Oh, this was one I wanted to look at. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signs bill rolling back child labor. That's one we have to look at and try to find something. Have you heard about the China labor or the child labor stuff that's been going on?
I heard about the efforts in Iowa.
Well, there's been reviews across the country and everything, and it found out that a lot of child labor laws are being broken all over the place with kids working in factories and stuff. And a lot of them are those kids that were separated from their parents and everything and brought into this country who we just lost track of. They're being
Really?
found working in places, yes. So it's nice to see that Huckabee Sanders is trying to combat this problem with child labor. I mean, because it does need to be addressed. Yeah, because that's one way to fix it. It's not a problem with child labor if you just make it so that it's not a problem for children to do labor.
So the reason why we have those laws is because it's a problem for children to do labor regardless.
Now, I'm not sure about that. I mean, I understand my kids don't do any labor. That's challenging enough as it is. But on a whole, kids doing labor, um, they're not doing much useful. I mean, especially look, it's Arkansas. What are they going to do? Go to school? Get educated?
Oh, yeah, they might start
I mean,
questioning their parents or thinking for themselves. Yeah.
yeah, I like the governor believes protecting kids is most important, but this permit was an arbitrary burden on parents to get permission from the government for their child to get a job. So they had a thing, it says here, um, one of the things, including a measure that had required employers to attain work certificates for children under the age of 16. Now, I remember when I was a kid, what, 40 years ago? For 30 years ago, you had to get a certificate, even in South Dakota, to show that you were a kid so that you wouldn't get in trouble. So, what she's saying here is it's a burden on parents to get permission from the government for the child to get a job. But it's a certificate for the child to get a job. So, the burden on the parent is as much of a burden on the parent as having them get a learner's permit or a driver's license. So
Yep.
they probably should get rid of the driver's license and the learner's permit laws too. I mean, they've already gotten rid of the gun permit law. So all the kids can get guns if they want them and everything. I think even like a 16-year-old can go into a store and purchase a gun down there. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I mean, if they can't, then it's definitely a violation of that kid's Second Amendment rights, right?
You
And
know, I think we've been sold a bill of sale on the Second Amendment.
yeah, but was it verified? And was it? Did you have to get a permit to get that bill of sale? And see, here's the thing that gets me: is the governor believes protecting kids is most important, but this permit was an arbitrary burden on parents to get permission from the government for their child to get a job. I think what it was an arbitrary burden on the government to give the parents a permit so their child could get a job. I think they just worded this a little bit wrong here.
Yeah.
Because what burden on parents to get permission from the government? I mean, the all child labor laws that actually protect children still apply, and we expect businesses to comply just as they are required to do now. So let's see, what other ones did they get rid of? We think kids who are working at 14, we think about who this might protect. It's not the 14-year-old who's working at the ice cream parlor in your hometown whose parents have given them permission to work. We're worried about the children who are at risk being exploited and have been exploited today. But getting rid of this requirement means that the parents can tell the kids they have to go down and get a job or they're going to get kicked out of the house,
Hmm.
which sort of exploits them in a home thing. I'm not
Well,
paying for you to have stuff. Go ahead and get a job. I don't even have to tell you to go get a job. You just got to start bringing in money to make it worth your while. Now, I mean, I don't think that would ever happen in a place like, wow, I don't think anything like that would happen in a place like Arkansas, of course, because we all know. Well, no, this goes
Arkansas
back to the.
are the salt of the earth.
Yeah, yeah.
So, based on
Wait a
what you've
second.
read here, it
Wait a
doesn't sound
second. Go back.
like the worst in the world.
Go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Salt of the earth. Okay. That's not a good thing, right? Because if you salt an earth, all salt on the earth means that you kill all the plants around it.
It's the salt that you get from the earth, like from a salt mine.
So we're saying that these people are from the bowels of the earth, from a dark corner, and had to be dug up.
Salt is a valuable commodity. It does all kinds of cool things like preserve food. And so if you are the salt of the earth, I'm not sure why the of the earth needs to be there. But it means you're of value to your fellow human beings.
Means you're 97 cents for a canister of salt at the store. I think a packet of ramen costs more than a canister of salt. You might be right, though. Arkansas people maybe. Well, I mean, think about it. It's a weird ass saying to say. It just is.
It was less weird in olden days when people used to get paid in salt. Hence the word salary.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that's interesting. And
The Romans used to pay their soldiers in salt, and that's where we get the word salary. The SAL in salary means salt.
And that's been one to grow on.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah. If we played that, we'd probably get sued, too. See, Packer... Now, look at it this way. Why is this? Okay, so Packer Sanitation Services illegally employed 102 children between the ages of 13 and 17 in jobs that require them to use toxic chemicals and clean razor-sharp saws. So how exactly is this? Because I guess they didn't follow the rules anyway, so it didn't really matter. But if they were following the guidelines from those things that she had, at least all the kids that were 13 and 14 wouldn't have been doing that job without their parents knowing they were. Or somebody who, got paid in cigarettes to pretend they were their parent and get the card, one of the two. I mean, not that I have, no faith in humanity anymore, but...
So the last time I heard anything about working in slaughterhouses and dangerous stuff like the knives and the toxic chemicals you were talking about, it was in the context of an Iowa law that would have legalized children working in such things, whereas currently it's illegal. I don't know anything about Arkansas, really, other than I've got relatives there.
Well...
And Dogpatch USA is there.
That's true. Well, I mean, I guess it could be a good thing because it does help the parents out and everything like that. Gotta be kidding me.
Arkansas and Iowa refuse to raise the minimum wage, then at least the parents will have another option.
Yeah.
Since they're already working so much themselves to be able to actually afford housing, they can send the kids out at 14 instead of having to wait until they're 16.
Yeah. Without them having to waste time in getting, the parental permission for it. That's the trick and everything. Okay. Saw this one. Georgia legislature considers bills to remove prosecutors amid Trump election probe. Oh, you have to be kidding me. How in the heck can they do that?
So these tough on crime Republicans are going to pass a law that keeps the prosecutor from levying charges?
Yeah.
A commission with the power to remove prosecutors and district attorneys from their posts.
That is...
Oversight is necessary to prevent soft on crime prosecutors from endangering Georgians.
Is that really what they said?
Okay. Georgia Republican-led state legislature is considering a set of bills that would establish a commission with the power to remove prosecutors and district attorneys from their posts. Republicans, including the governor, say additional oversight is necessary to prevent soft on crime, in quotes, prosecutors from endangering Georgians. But Democrats are taking note of the timing. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is deciding whether to pursue indictments following her office's investigation into former President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election in Georgia, as well as the fact that several GOP champions of the effort, including Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, have been targeted in Willis's investigation.
Wow.
So officially, what they're doing is saying, hey, we want to make sure that if we've got any district attorneys that aren't tough enough, that we can remove them. Purely by coincidence, they have a district attorney who is about to turn her attention on prominent Republicans.
Right. And so, in order to be tough on crime, since we know since they're Republicans they didn't do any crime, she needs to focus elsewhere. I get it. I see how this works. So, what's the good news out of that as we wrap up the show?
Well, um, I guess the good news is that Fannie Willis is doing the things that are necessary to make them scared for their own jobs after having tried to steal an election.
Well, now you're
They're doing something right if they're trying so hard to stop her.
now you're making us sound like a liberal channel here. So you got to be a little careful with that. We're supposed to be like moderately in the middle intellectually, which does make us liberal in so many ways. I can't even mention.
I'm sorry that you misunderstood what I was saying as something liberal, because I very much am in favor of holding people accountable for their actions. And when they commit crimes, we should hold them accountable. That is a good conservative value. Am I mistaken?
No, Trump said that several times.
So we should hold people accountable.
Trump said that several. So you agree with Trump?
You
Nice
know,
to see you're
even
falling
a
in
stopped
line.
clock is right twice a day.
What? Even
Even a stopped clock is right twice a day. I'm not sure he's even right that often, but if he said that we need to hold people accountable for the crimes that they commit, then I agree with that.
There we go. There we go. And since that's the good news out of this, that they're actually putting laws in place to help make sure prosecutors are doing their job, and that the entire thing that may cause problems with other things is purely coincidental and has nothing to do with the law that they're passing, that's good news. Purely coincidental. They would never use that in this situation because that person is hard on crimes.
Because that would be hypocritical, and we all know that the only real sin is hypocrisy.
Really?
That's what the message that I get.
Oh,
Since that's the main thing that they complain about, then that must be the only real sin.
Who complains about hypocrisy?
Oh, you want a list?
Well, no.
I can't put it.
I thought they complained about drag shows more than hypocrisy.
Oh, no. No, the drag shows are too new to even have a chance of being above hypocrisy yet.
Oh, you're talking historical. The whole historical sense. I gotcha.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good spot to wrap up. We only went 15 minutes over this time. So it's getting worse as it goes along. We have to figure out, we're going to have to go back to specific news stories, because if we would have stopped at that first one, we would have been wrapped up in 10 minutes like we should be. But we still got to work on the production qualities. We still got to work on the scripting quality. We have to work on all this stuff. But I appreciate anybody who actually finds this somehow in the middle of this whole YouTube stuff and slogs through to join up with us. Again, I'm Michael Anderson Henderson Dorland, prefect for an overwhelming sense. It happened again. It was almost real. It felt almost real. And you were?
And I am Richard the 50th, Regional Step Pope for Northeast Wyoming.
I should probably come up with an easier title.
Maybe so.
All right. I'm going to use our really cool closing to go out. So what do you want to say going out here, Richard? You finish this up.
My cat likes to lick my lamp.
I really didn't want to hear that. All right. Thanks, everybody. Night.
He told me yesterday it wasn't weird enough, or absurd enough.